Okay, LibreNMS templates and transports. Now, if you haven't watched my alerts rule video yet, I would highly recommend you give that a try because templates and transports kind of happen after alert rules. So alert rules are the first in line of the whole alerting process here. So once you got alert rules down, then you should probably focus on alert templates and transports. And before I get started on these two things here, I'm going to look at some global settings here real quick. If you go to global settings and alerting, there's a couple in general alert settings here that might throw you off if you don't go in here first. And it's mostly dealing with email alerting. So if you go in here, you'll say, look at these default settings, and I don't believe I have these set at the default, but these are the default now. So this says issue alert to admins. So when you create an admin user in LibreNMS, you can actually put an email address in there, and that will actually alert to that person who is admin. So if you had a bunch of admins in here, they might be getting alerts, and you don't really have them set up as to be transported to them. It might be one of these options like syscontact, or the syscontacts in the SNMP that the devices respond back to. So you might want to turn most of these off if you just want to focus on alert transports. And if you're starting to alert a bunch of people, you might want to make sure that you have all these email addresses in check and make sure that people are not going to be getting alerts that shouldn't be. So in any case, we can go ahead and start and going over to alert transports here. And this is basically getting the alert outside of LibreNMS. So the alert rule figures out what we're going to alert on, and then it sends it off to a transport to actually send it outside of LibreNMS. And in order to create transports, you would just go to alert and alert transports and create alert transport. And right down here, you're going to see transport type, or these are going to be all the different ways you can send an alert outside of LibreNMS. Now, I haven't used nearly any of these. I've used email, syslog, and I think I've used the API actually even in here. But each one of these would have different settings to set up with. They're going to have, like host, project ID, personal access token. They're all going to be a little different because these are all different products, so they all have different ways of integrating. So you just have to go through this list and figure out which way you want to be alerted. In this video, I'm just going to be focusing on email, though, since everybody has email, and it makes the most sense. And when you create an email transport, you're basically just putting the name in here. And you're just putting an email address. And hit save transport. Okay, so we just created a new transport there. This is just going to email a message. Now, you might be saying, okay, well, there's a bunch of more stuff I need to do in order to send an email out of this LibreNMS, and all those settings are actually back in this global setting here. Now, all the transports you configure when you do this configure alert transport, like all the settings at once in here, host name, username, password, you do that all in here except for email. Email you have to configure over here to global settings, alerting, and email options. And this is where you can configure all your SNMTP server, authentication, login information. So once you have this set up, when you create a email transport, you're basically just sending an email address to whoever. So you would just, if you needed to send another email address, you created another email transport. And then if you wanted to group, if you had a bunch of transports in here, a bunch of emails, and you wanted to group all, like maybe all the engineers together, you could create a new group here. And you could just start putting people's emails in here. I only have one in here right now, but you can get the idea, and you would save this. Now, what you do is when you create an alert rule, you would actually set where you're going to put what transports are going to alert on this rule. So I could do individual email addresses in here, or I could put all the email addresses in here. So that transport group is kind of just a way of grouping multiple transports together, so you don't have to select them all individually in here. So I've created two alert transport here. One was mail that we just did, and syslog, which is basically just sending a syslog message back into LibreNMS, creating some kind of weird alerting inception loop here. I just wanted to test this to see if it works, and it does. You could actually go back into the local host and look at the syslog here, and you will see here at the bottom, we're starting to get these messages. These are actually the alert transports coming back in to LibreNMS, and it's actually doing some kind of weird loop because you'll see they're actually getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and I think it's because what I'm alerting on is in this message too, so it's seeing this message and then the next message and the next message. This is not a good idea. Don't do this. This just kind of makes a mess of everything, but I just wanted to prove that it does work. You can send an alert transport back into LibreNMS if you want to. So email is probably what you're going to be more interested in seeing, so let's go back to our alert rules. And we'll just play with our syslog, alerting on a syslog message we had here. And we have the test syslog that we just looked at. Let's go and send it to my email here. I'm just going to turn this back on and off. This is kind of a good way of just, I've seen sometimes where, like, since it's already alerting, it might not send it to a transport you just added on there. So I usually just flick it on and off real quick when I'm testing transports just to make sure. Okay, I just got an alert in here, and this is my alert. Now, what you see here is an email that LibreNMS fired off when that alert rule happened. And I'm going to keep on getting these since I have it set to 50, so it should come in every 2 minutes here, or around that time. But if you look at here, these are all the syslog messages I got in the last 5 minutes that match that. Here it is, polling device 13 unreachable. I'm just alerting on that. So because I had that weird kind of syslog message going back into it, it just alerted a ton. But this should go back down to 5 eventually because I turned that off. So what I wanted to show you here is that when you see this message here, this is not what it looks like when it comes out of LibreNMS at all. It doesn't look with all these nice tables and fields and everything. This is not how it looks. I had to customize this to do what I want. And the way you go about that is alert templates. Alert templates are really only for email and maybe I think Microsoft Teams. I've never used Microsoft Teams, so I haven't really played around with that. But alert templates are really just for how the email looks, how this is all structured. And that's really all alert templates is. You're just structuring this email to look different. Now, you might want to make it look different for different reasons. Maybe you want some of these fields in here for maybe management and not other fields in there for management, or maybe you want to alert a customer and you don't want to have maybe the IP address in here or some other information about this. So you might have to create different alert templates for different people. And I can see here I'm getting more alerts now because they're going to keep on coming in. But anyways, yeah, I had to create this alert template. This is not by default. This is probably going to be the most hardest part for you to get right, to get all this lined up. And there's actually a couple different challenges with this that I ran into when I was creating this. So if you want to go over to the docs website and go to LibreNMS and templates, if you're really serious about creating your own alert templates, you should really read through this and read through it probably a couple times, because yeah, it can be really powerful if you set it up right. But anyways, let me show you alert templates over here. Alerts and alert templates. Now, I think there's some default ones that come right when you install LibreNMS. In fact, yeah, this default alert template here. So this is actually the default one. And what I'm actually going to do here is I'm going to take off. So you attach templates to rules in here. So I'm going to delete this template. And it should, if you have no template assigned to it, it should start alerting on the default template. So now that I save that, the next alert that comes in here shouldn't look like this. It shouldn't look like this at all. It should actually go back to the default one, which is this one. So I'm going to wait until I get another alert here. Okay, I just got my next alert in, and if you can already see, the title looks different already. And you also set that in alert templates actually down here at the bottom. This alert title and a recovery title, that's this title here. Anyways, we'll click on it, and you can see this is what it looks like. This is what the default one looks like. And I don't blame them for doing this because it's really hard to tell what people want. While mine looks good to me, it might not look good to somebody else, and maybe even just the color scheme or some other reason. So it's really hard to just find a default one that works for everything else. Now, this one does look a little bit more messy than normal since I have so many syslog messages in here. It normally isn't this bad. It's probably just a couple lines, but there's no nice formatting. I guess that's my point I'm trying to make. You don't see any of that nice formatting in here, so that's where we really got to set up LibreNMS templates to do kind of all this formatting and make it nice looking. Okay, so let's take a look at how we create these alert templates here. So in the meantime, I'm going to turn off this alert so it doesn't drive us crazy. And we go to alert and alert templates now. If a rule is not assigned any template, it's going to use this default alert template, and this is actually what this is right here. This is what it looks like. So that one screen we saw here, well, now see, look, it's looking better now because I let it pull a couple times, so I'm not getting as many messages. So this is a more real representation on what the default one looks like. But you can still see it's the same concept. But anyways, yeah, if you don't assign it, if you have a rule and you don't assign it any template, this is what it's going to look like when it emails to you. So what we need to do here is create different templates to make it look different. So each one of these is going to look a little different. And you might say, why would you want to do that? Because sometimes you're alerting on different things. Like if I have syslog messages in there, that's going to look a little bit different than if I have like ports that I'm alerting on, or if I have bandwidth I'm alerting on, or BGP sessions, or maybe like some sensors you're alerting on. Every alert can give you kind of certain different values for what you're alerting on. So while you might not need to create like 50 of these, you might need to create a handful at least. And it just depends on how much customization you want to do. If you're just a small organization, you might get away with just one that can do everything, as we'll see here. So if we click on this syslog alert here, you can see here that really all this is a bunch of code, sort of. But what you got to keep in mind here is that how I made this look pretty was with really HTML and CSS. So there's a bunch of code in here, really. I don't know if I can view source in here. View page source. Okay, well that makes a bit of a mess. Let me show you something real quick. Hold on. This page. I just basically took all the HTML and code in here and just loaded it in a web GUI browser here. So this is actually what all the code looks like. And this kind of gives you a good way of seeing where I'm taking variables in to where I just have static information, somewhat. So like you can see here, this looks very familiar from what we just looked at over here. You see location, device, hardware, all that stuff in there, and you can see that it's exactly the same, all this stuff. So this stuff is static. It doesn't change. It'll never change, depending on what the alert is. These are kind of the variables, though. So when I get an alert, I'm going to put the location in this field here. So if this what is it, box cell, table cell, if I want to put it in this right here. So this is going to change per alert, because if I have like 50 locations, I might be getting alerts from all different locations, so this will change per the location. And this is the variable I'm putting in here to do that. And you can kind of see that you can do that with a lot of different things. Maybe for this alert, the hardware, whatever it is, sys description, uptime, all different stuff in here. And then finally I'm getting down to here where, if you look at the actual alerts in here, which I don't have right now because I turned it off, but you remember we saw like 3 or 4 different alerts in there. We saw a couple different ones in here, and this is basically what this is doing, is it's looping through each one of those messages in this alert and displaying them in one row per alert. And you can see that in here it's doing like a for each loop. So for each fault in this alert, put a line, was a row in the table here. So you can see how we did that. We had I don't know, a bunch of alerts in here, 106 or 105. So it just looped through all of them and put them in one email. So now that you kind of see this, we have if statements here too, to say like if the alert state is 1, then do this, make it say alert up here. But if the alert state is 2, then make it say this, and so on and so on. So when we see the message, we only see alert because it only matched on if alert state equals 1. It didn't match on 2, 3, or 0, so none of these showed up in here. Same thing with the alert name. It didn't match on. It only matched on 1. And it didn't match on 2, 3, and 0, so none of these other ones showed up in here. And this is exactly like this. It's just a variable. This alert name. I'm just changing the color and the styling of it, making it a little bigger, but that's about it. That's really the only difference. You're just putting variables in place where you want them generated, and then just static stuff where you don't. So you can actually, if you looked at the view source of this, it pretty much looks like this. Well, I'm sorry, this is the templated view source version. So if you look in here, you can see that I'm having these same alerts in here, So, you really got to learn a little bit of HTML and CSS to make this look nice. I will say the biggest challenge I had really was because most email clients support all different types of, I guess it's not types, but like different things in CSS and HTML. So my Outlook client, while it would look fine, maybe this box was centered. In my Gmail client, this thing is over to the left. It didn't like some center tag I had in there. So what you're really going to have to do is when you're testing these alert templates, send them to all the clients that you'll think be looking at them, and then you'll probably find something in here that you messed up on. It looks fine on all the clients except for one, and you got to figure out how to make it look good on that client and all the rest of them. So let me show you a website here real quick. So this website was pretty helpful. I think it's campaignmonitor.com. But anyways, you can see there's different elements in CSS in here, and they're basically just telling you which clients support style and head. So or style in head. So you can see here that like Gmail, Android, IMAP client doesn't support it. So this is kind of helpful because there were some times where I'm like, well, how do I know which ones are supported in which clients? And you got to go in here and kind of look, or just do trial and error. To be honest with you, I was actually kind of shocked when I learned this. I'm not a web developer, so I don't really know the ins and outs or why this is. But I was actually shocked that a lot of things didn't work between clients. In the web, a lot of things work. Web browsers, almost everything works, no matter what browser you're using. But in email clients, even though they can render HTML, they don't support everything that a browser can support. So you kind of can't even do this by, just kind of designing it in like a, what is it called? What you see is what you get editor, because it might just look different. So in order for me to get this to work on most of the clients, I just had to keep on trialing and error different tags and styling, and finally I came up with all this code here pretty much that did it. That got me pretty much 90% there. I might have like one small issue with one email client, but it's nothing serious at this point. So this is all the code we created. So if you go back into the alert templates here, syslog alert, you can see that we're pretty much doing the same stuff in here. But the thing is when you looked at this code, we had a head, HTML, head, title, all this stuff. So they give you a way of actually setting kind of like a base template. So there's a lot of times where, when you're creating, like, maybe you have to create 15 templates, you don't really want to have to create this stuff every single time. That's going to be the same for all of them. You're always going to have HTML, and you're always going to have this head tag in here, and you might have a little bit more than that, to be honest with you. So if you can't use HTML emails and you just don't want to deal with HTML at all, then it gets a whole lot easier at that point. You could make really, really basic ones, because all you're really doing is, like, say I wanted to know, let's see here, which one is a good one? Let's see the alert severity. Like if I wanted to just do a very, very basic one that wasn't email at all or HTML at all, I could just go up here to the top. Oh, I'm not even the right one. You could just ignore all this, to be honest. Everything in here would be deleted, and you would just have like something like this. Okay, and then you could just keep on going down these variables one line at a time, until it got put as much as you want in here. So there's really no reason why you have to have all this code in HTML in here. This is just making it look pretty. I mean, this would even probably make it look prettier than the default. So yeah, that's really all alert templates is just getting kind of like a base and then putting variables in there. And in the template docs, they list like a lot of the variables in here. You can see them all: alert device ID, host name, sys description, all that good stuff. So, you can start getting really creative. Like in my email for the location, I made a hyperlink. So when you click on this, it takes you right to the location in LibreNMS that this device was in that alerted. So I can see right here. And that's come in handy so many times because something will go down. I'm like, okay, well, let me just see if everything in that location's down. And I'll just click on it. And now I'm instantly there to see it. And so there's a lot of links like that. Like the local host here will take you directly to the device page. I have ping average here. This takes you to the performance latency graphs. So in order to create that kind of base template here that we need to do in order to do this, and this is actually what it's referencing here. It's saying I want to extend this base template and then put all this in there too. So use this, and then you eventually get this. You get all this. Well, and which turns into this. So basic goes from code to a nice working thing here. So let me just show you the base template real quick so that I created. And here it is. You just put it into this directory here. OPT, LibreNMS, resources, views, alerts, templates. And you can create as many of these as you want because you just reference them in the beginning here. So if you wanted to create another base for like maybe customers, then another base for internal stuff, then you could create two different bases and then just put the other stuff with what you need. Now, the way I looked at it is that you alert on a device, so every single alert is going to have device information on it because it came from a device. So in my base template, I actually have all the device information. So really, when you look at this, my base template is actually all this, pretty much all this. And then I'm just doing some stuff at the bottom here for the actual alert template in the web GUI part. So every single alert that I make is going to have this top part. And then all I'm doing in the right here is this bottom part, this part down, anything below this syslog, right? All this basically this entire table right here, the bottom one. So this is what I'm doing right here. So yeah, we're doing the base one and then extending it to this, and really that's it. This is all alert templates are. You're just putting all these different values in here and making it either look nice or however you want it. Alright, so the last little part here is basically we have the base template in our shell here, and this little @yield content, this is basically saying render the base template and then render whatever is in this yield content, which is right here, section content. So everything below here, all this, actually is it second? Yeah, well, it's probably right here, end if. So everything that's highlighted here, all that is going to get put in right here at this line. So you can see I started like a new container here and closed it, and then I put all this code right in here. So that's just how you know where to put this code in the base template. You could move this anywhere in the base template you wanted to. It just made sense for me to put it at the bottom. Okay, I think that just about does it for alert templates and transports. Again, thank you for watching.